Welcome to Shreveport Connector with Tommy. This video is on your Impact Wrestling from last week. It's a late start. Just now getting back online again. But first, some TNA news with Eric Bischoff on Ministry of Slam Radio, hosted by Chris Duke and Jamie Kennedy. Audio interview available at ministryofslam.com. Well, Ministry of Slam asked him, you've been away from TNA TV for a number of months now. What's been going on in the world of Eric Bischoff? And he states, I'm still very much involved behind the scenes creatively and the executive producer at TNA. Also had been extremely busy with my own production company, Bishoff Harvey Entertainment, which is around 7 or 8 different TV shows and various stages of production with different networks right now. We've also just launched digital casino gaming site, which is up in the UK through Paddy Power, and a digital slot machine centered around Hulk Hogan. Speaking of UK, TNA just announced that they will be taping a number of TV shows while in January on their tour. What relationship this company has with fans in the UK? They state, saying, I'm very excited about it. I love the enthusiasm that the UK fans bring to the TV screen. I think their passion and excitement makes the product even better. The UK lad and I look back and hang hands. He said, obviously to most friends, you're known for your time with both CW and WWE, but also laterally TNA. Many throughout the years have focused on the negatives surrounding WCW. But do you ever look back with a sense of pride of what was achieved in such a short time? He said that the truth is, I don't really think much about the past, good or bad. I don't dwell on it. Of course, I know it was a very successful period of time, and I'm sure if I allow myself to think about it, I can relive some very special moments. To be honest with you, in its nature, it is in mind to live for today and think about what I can do, which will make tomorrow better, much more than thinking about the past. The time is over and done, and so there's nothing I can do about it, good or bad. And the Ministry of Slam says, is it fair to say that you're focusing very much on TNA and the here and now? And Eric says, well, TNA is one focus for me, but then a TV production company I run with my partner, Jason Harvey, is very successful. We're probably one of the most successful TV production companies in Hollywood, certainly at reality TV. And have recently performed for Nickelodeon, which marked our scripted TV business. Adding to Hulk Hogan gaming machine, we're also launching another with David Hasselhoff at the end of October. The TNA digital slot machine will hopefully be launched around the time that we tour in January too. There are several different celebrities and brands that we're negotiating with currently. So all these things are a big part of my focus. The TV production company is a very lucrative business, but both Jason and myself recently acquiring an equity interest in the company. We're excited about everything we have going on. And Ministry of Slam says TNA will be launching the British Boot Camp show on Challenge TV in the UK, featuring some of the top talent on the British wrestling scene. Rockstar Spud, Marty Scurll, and Blossom Twins are all competing for a shot at TNA contracts. Were there any other names or companies which stood out with scouting the UK for talent? Eric Bischoff says, quite honestly, I'm not involved with the British Boot Camp project. As such, I haven't been over in the UK looking for talent. There are other people doing that. That's what they're hired to do, but it's not my role, so I can't possibly comment on who TNA is actually looking at on the terms of talent. I did meet the group who are competing on the show at Bound for Glory, as well as watching them perform in the ring a few nights ago. They're a very talented group of young people who all have a great deal of potential. So it's sure to be an exciting show. Despite not being involved at all with the project, what I do know of the format and talent leads me to believe that it's a really positive. Great idea. I've been with a proponent of TNA expanding into reality TV since the day I got here, and I think that the opportunity for the British Boot Camp concept is great, especially given the strength of the TNA brand in the UK. I think it's a phenomenal idea, and I'm sure it's going to be a successful one. And the Ministry of Slam says a similar concept on TNA TV currently is the gut check proportion of the show, wherein men and women compete to impress the judges and earn TNA contact. What are your thoughts on the segments of how successful they are? And I'm very excited about it, and it was actually something Jamie and myself created and brought into it means to bring a reality to Impact Wrestling. We've discovered some talent, great talent throughout. I think the deliberation process and judging is entertaining as hell. Also, it's constantly throwing up surprises, with even us being surprised at some of the things which have been out of control. It's live television, and so anything can happen. Overall, the segment is a very good one, but we're still developing and fine-tuning the concept. Maybe it's not as good as it can be quite yet, but we're getting there, and I love the reality element. It can only be a good thing for our show. MOS states, Joey Ryan is someone who has flourished due to the gut check program, recently making his way onto pay-per-view at Bound for Glory. And is that evidence of success? And Eric says, definitely. This is the way to creatively introduce new talent and angles outside of our regular format. Wrestling has been done for so long, but by so many people in so many different ways that it's hard to come up with anything that feels new. And MOS says TNA went through some big changes in management, choosing to go in a different creative direction over the past number of months. The product is definitely hot, but do you feel TNA is getting closer to being as big as they can be? Eric says the term hot property means different things to different people, but I do feel over the past year that our show has taken on more focus. There's more discipline in our storytelling and character development, which is one of the things fundamentally flawed about our product previously. Storylines were all over the map, and there wasn't that follow-through or commitment to detail. When suggesting ideas to the people I work with, the audience will only invest in a character or story as much as we do. For instance, if we ask the audience to invest in a long-term storyline and then decide to cut things off right in the middle, maybe because we're not excited about it as we used to be, and shift gears, that's very disappointing for the fans to change gears just like that. If there's no explanation, no real follow-up, then it doesn't make sense. It's then hard to get the audience to invest in you again, because you spend a long time conditioning them. We may or may not follow through on the storylines you care about. As the executive producer, as well as somebody who feels strongly about storytelling and structure, we have to invest. Sometimes we may not get the results that we hoped for or expected, but that just means that we have to dig a little harder and commit to the stories and characters which drive our show. When you do that, it becomes a payoff. And I think that's one of the things that people are starting to see more in TNA. And you can catch more on the live on the show that I said. Another Impact results. All right, so some more news. Again, you can go to impactwrestling.com for some more news. Bishoff on Twitter and BHETV and wrestling.com. TNA wrestler Eric Young noted on his Twitter page that upcoming live events may be his last. TNA live events, live shows in Michigan and Windsor, Canada. Young wrote, "I'll be there. Could be my last live shows with TNA. Come and get crazy with me." Follow Young online at twitter.com/ShowtimeEY. Thanks to David Cutting for Pro Wrestling Events for that news. ProWrestlingEvents.tk. Young hasn't been working on many TNA dates since he has started hosting Off the Hook Extreme Catches for the channel Animal Planet. The Pleasant, Michigan show takes place on Thursdays, and the Windsor event takes place on Friday night. A knockout referee Terrell worked Saturday night OVW shows as the referee for Heidi Lovelace versus Josette Bum. Gut check Taylor Henderson apparently turned working regularly in OVW as well. Saturday show shows Crimson retain the OVW title against Rob Terra disqualification, and Terra's storyline boyfriend Jesse Goddard's retain VW tag team titles with Rudy Switchblade. There were reports that Hernandez was shaken up after taking a nasty bump in the TNA Live event on Friday night in Texas. Hernandez called the reports silly wrestling stories, but there are rumors that he has suffered 2 dislocated fingers. Former Ring of Honor star Kenny King was signed by TNA back in the summertime, but hasn't been seen since the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view. He addressed his absence on Twitter by saying, "A lot of people been wondering where I've been. The thing is, my bank account good. Don't worry where I've been. Worry about what's going to happen to those dubs when I come back. Or these dudes when I come back." Now for your Impact results. Vice President of the Aces and Eights is in the clubhouse chewing Luke Gallows out for losing his mask and saying that he has 1 week to prove he still deserves to be in Aces and Eights. Devon has a plan. And Gallows are going to get right tonight. So they're in tag action. And we go straight to the Impact Zone. We're just days from the turning point. James Storm comes out to join Jeremy Boyce and Todd at the broadcast booth for opening match. Bobby Roode versus AJ was up first. Roode tried to work arm early on and they got the mat. Then Roode got AJ in a side headlock. AJ hit to the ropes and tries to charge arm, but Roode caught him with a back elbow. Roode whipped AJ across and AJ with a leapfrog and a beautiful drop kick that sent Roode scurrying to the floor. AJ went out to the floor and whipped him into the ring steps. Then rolled him back inside and hits a leaping knee drop that gets a 2 count. Roode with a boot to the bread basket and some right hands in the corner. AJ fired back with chops and echo through the building and nearly backdrops Roode into lights. Roode backs off the corner and catches AJ off guard with a chop to the throat. AJ tries a leaping forearm into the corner, but Roode moves out of the way. Takes AJ out with a clothesline as we go to commercial. Back from the commercial, AJ whipped Roode in the corner and charged in after him with a shoulder block into the ribs. AJ tried to leapfrog Roode into the opposing corner, but Roode caught AJ with hot shots on him on the top rope. Roode come off the second rope with a blockbuster and made a cover, but he only got a 2. Roode with an elbow drop for a 2 count. AJ tried firing back with some right hands, and Roode went forward into the corner. After all that, they go back and forth, and Roode quickly cradled AJ up out of nowhere for a win. So Bobby Roode won the match. Austin Aries bumps into Hulk Hogan backstage, and Hogan says he needs to stop walking around like he's a champion because he's hot. Because he's not. He tells Aries to walk back. At the end of the night, he found Jeff at Turning Point. Kurt Angle backstage with Wes Briscoe had a lecture on how successful in the business. And Sting comes that tonight. The 3 of them are going to take care of Aces and Eights. Park already in the ring. He does the little promo. My body is through a table. How good to pull off his mask of a member of Aces and Eights. Yada yada. The crowd starts chanting Park begs again. Hogan tells Park that he'll allow it, but just one time. Terror backstage segment with Jesse Goddard. Yeah, crap. AJ's backstage to the mystery cameraman about Storm involved in the match. Storm came. They've been in TNA about the same amount of time, but AJ is somehow the face of Impact Wrestling. This Sunday, he's going to ram his boot into the face of Impact Wrestling. ODB versus Tara and Jesse Goddard. Winner Tara. Jesse snuck up behind ODB and she caught him, but Tara rolled ODB up behind from the Widow's Peak. Tara poured the contents of ODB's flask on her face as they got a commercial. And the backstage, the ODB is yelling at EY on the phone, telling him why he wasn't there. And Kurt Angle Sting versus Devon and Doc. And the winner of that match, Sting and Kurt Angle by disqualification. Bully Ray ran into clotheslines Devon and then got a table out from under the ring. Goes to grab Devon, but heads for the hills as Bubba chases him to the back. In the meantime, goes at it with Sting until a couple of members of Aces and Eights run in. One guy hits Sting with a hammer, Doc chokeslams him on the table, and the other guy throws Angle at him. Doc takes the hammer, absolutely destroys Sting with it, repeatedly hitting him in the ribs and smashing both hands before Samoa Hernandez and Bravo. Guerrero Jr. finally run in to take him away. Austin Aries wondering about Vegas, sitting on his cell phone and walks past Bray and arguing about. And they see Aries coming and stopping. They walk off, and as Aries casually continues his conversation. What's that about? Bruce Magnus, Christopher Daniels, and Frankie Kazarian versus Samoa Joe, Chavo, and Hernandez. Just go straight to the winners of the match. Bruce Magnus, Christopher Daniels, and Frankie Kazarian. And the ending, Joe went for the muscle buster, Danielson. So Daniels and the choke. Kazarian broke him up and double goozle. Joe set him up for top rope elbow drop from Magnus and puts down for the 3 count. Bobby Roode backstage, thrilled that he beat AJ Styles earlier tonight. He got him and stuck him in each other's throat. And he'll make it much easier for him to win it and his world title back. And they run down the brutal attack on Sting earlier tonight. And it's brought out Mike and Taz take us back to the brutal attack on Sting with Aces and Eights. They went back to the ring where A-Double comes out to the ring originally with the world title belt. The ladder set up in the middle of the ring. Aries says that Hardy has been calling himself the best wrestler on the planet. But the whole best in the world thing is overplayed because he's the best professional wrestler in the universe. 3 seconds of Bound for Glory did not change that. The fact that he has to wrestle Hardy in a ladder match means Hardy and everyone else knows that Hardy can't beat him again in a wrestling match. A lot of people say that Hardy's career has been defined by the ladder, and he's arguably the greatest daredevil in the business that has ever been seen. He's climbed to the highest of highs and taken to the greatest of falls man has ever done. This turning point ain't going to make sure that this fall he doesn't come from because he's walking into turning point and he's going to beat in his own game. Then he's going to take both belts and melt these down into a belt. He can wear Hardy's face. To make all that happen, he has to hand the original belt back over right now since what Hogan told him to do, but he's not going to do us. Hardy wants to come down like a man and take it from him. He wants the belt, his jacket off. Hardy comes down the ramp and gets his belt and goes at it with Aries. Aries tries for a brain buster, but Hardy slips out the back and lays Aries out as a fate. Takes up both title belts and hangs it on from the hook. They'll be hanging it from the Sunday. The belts are raised above him. Hardy climbs to the ladder to wave at the crowd or whatever. But Aries comes back and kicks the ladder out from underneath Hardy. A-Double puts the boots to Hardy and then puts the ladder over him and climbs up to put the belts down in a visual. He hopes to repeat this weekend at Turning Point, and that ends my Impact result.